From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 187 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today on July the 6th, 2024. I'm Warren Carr from Washington.
I'm John Dyer from Virginia.
Getting to one from Lebanon.
And it's Salih Kunz from Turkey.
Welcome to episode 187. We now return to normal scheduling, and we do want to thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Coming up in this episode, we have a little announcement, and we'll be talking about a little eulogy from Austin's priest back in Mumbai, India. And also, Karen will be talking about something that the NVDA blog has mentioned regarding Austin. In our Android Basics, we return to the Samsung's One UI general management, and we conclude with part 3 from that entry. In our Spotlight, we salute Android 15 Beta 3.1, and to close today's episode, Karen brings us a little tip of the week on how to schedule messages using Telegram. Of course, this is a little bit delayed. We've been wanting to bring you this for a while, but things happen and it's been waiting in the wings. And that would be what concludes today's episode. Welcome again to episode 187. John, let's start with you, my man. It's summertime, and we just concluded with July 4th celebration. Lots of fireworks. We had those here. It was so hard to sleep, but how are you?
I'm good. Ashley had Thursday and Friday off, although she took Friday to get lots of things done, so I was still with Jack all day. It was just a typical Friday for me. We haven't really celebrated yet. We're going to a cookout later today at her parents' house, so that will be our celebration, if you want to call it that. What about you? How is your week, and what do you have planned, if anything?
So my week was great. Being a bachelor, my wife is out in Ohio, and my daughter's in Europe, and all of that. So I was alone. It was good. My friend and I cooked something together, and we had barbecue and all of that. So yeah, it was good. But then, now though it's kind of hot. Yesterday, believe it or not, I think we were at 94 degrees. And I think probably this weekend may even be hotter. We have a hot weather coming from California, and it's pushing out this way. It's just so hot. Pretty girl, Karen, what's up with you? I hope that summertime is not boiling down on you. Something I like, though, because like I always said, it's food, but I know you don't like that heat. What's going on?
Well, finally, today was a good day regarding weather. It was mild. We can say that the weather today was mild. Until now, it is the sky is cloudy. We are not having really hot weather today. It is better than how it was the previous days, and I hope that it will continue like that. I hope, although I'm not really. I'm not optimistic about that, but yeah, let's enjoy what's right now.
That's my attitude. Whatever you get, make the best out of it. Sally, the handsome boy like me, what's going on? The girls leaving you alone, or what's the scoop?
Well, obviously, they don't let me take a breath, so. Well, before saying how I'm doing, just want to congratulate the 4th of July, and before that, the Canada Day, July the 1st. You forget about it. We have listeners from Canada.
Well, happy what is that Independence, Canadians, whatever it is. Happy July 1st to you guys. I didn't. I thought Canada was October. Frankly, I don't remember.
Well, as far as I know, it's July 1st, Canada Day. If I'm mistaken, let me know. I'll be okay to correct myself. Other than that, it was a boiling hot week for us, up to 32 Celsius, and now it's 24, and it's a little bit rainy. It's like 75 degrees for you. And
That's nice weather.
yeah, that's a great
I'll
weather.
take 75 any day. I mean, that's
Yeah.
perfect weather.
I mean, it's really good, and it's windy, and we are expecting kind of storm passing. It's not going to be heavy, but a little bit of it's going to be hitting. It will take 2 days, and then it's going to go away. And I'm afraid about the afterwards, because when the storm ends, you know what happens.
You get the back end of the
Yeah.
storm.
Yeah,
Isn't that something? But we've got to enjoy it because
obviously.
before we know it, the old man winter is here.
Yeah.
And now, the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements. We now move on to the announcements, and today we want to talk again about Austin. His priest back in Mumbai had a eulogy about Austin, and there are things about Austin that actually I didn't even know. I mean, even after all these years, I thought that I knew everything that there was to know about Austin, but I guess we just didn't talk about those things. And anyway, here's this great little eulogy that his priest had to say about Austin, and I really like it. Let's take a listen.
My dear brothers and sisters in our Lord Jesus, Henry Todd wrote a book called Dying Empty, or To Die Empty. Where did he get this idea? He once attended a business seminar, and the speaker there asked this general question to all: which is the richest land in the world? And some said it is Gulf because of the oil, some said Africa because of gold and a diamond. He said, no, the richest land is not these, but the richest land in the world is a cemetery, because cemetery is a place where people are buried with all their talents and goodness and kindness, and therefore the richest place in the world is a cemetery, because thousands of people, millions of people have died in the past, and the cemetery becomes a place rich with all sorts of talent, especially those which we have not used. And therefore he wrote this book called Dying Empty, because when you die empty, it shows that you died or you lived for others. This evening we have gathered here to pay our last respects to the mortal remains of our dear friend Austin. Though lived a short life of 35 years, but he is a source of inspiration for many. His name, I was surprised and quite happy to know that his name Austin means magnificent, venerable, dignified. And he kept to his name. He was magnificent, he was dignified, he lived life to the best. And we really admire him for who he was. He really lived a very dignified life. Even though he was blind, his hearing sensation was good, and therefore he contributed constructively to people around him. Since his name starts with A, I would like to attribute 3 A's that would summarize his life. The first A is academically inclined. Even though he was blind, he passed from the same school here attached to the church, Our Lady of Lourdes, with 83% in SSC. He was very clever, intelligent. After that, he pursued his further studies, did his college, finished his graduation in BA, and then later on went on to study electronics, which he liked very much. It was thanks to Father Sundar Albuque at that time, who was the financial administrator. He saw this rare talent in Austin and he offered a job in the finance department. And Austin actually worked for 11 years in the finance department, and all those who remember, he was so intelligent, clever, always at the service of others. Whenever people had any difficulty, he would reach out to them. Sundar also goes to tell me that Google on one occasion offered him a certificate and an award because he did some interesting changes in the route, the bus route, which Google was very impressed, and they offered him an award and a certificate. The first A is academically inclined, the second A is availability. Austin was both capable and available. Sometimes we have capable people, but they're not available for others. Austin was always available for people. He was at the service of people. And therefore, availability is the hallmark of his life. All the time he was. And people who worked in the finance with him will always admire his availability. I know that he was always at the service of others and he never said no to anybody. The third A is admirable. He lived a very short life, but his life is something that we admire. Many of us admire his life because he was a man full of life, no complaints about life, that he's blind, he can't see, why God did this. He was very spiritual. He would attend the first Friday Mass, which His Eminence would celebrate, and whenever His Eminence Oswald Cardinal Gracious called him by name, he was very happy. He would silently sit there, listen to the homily, attend the Mass. His father Anthony says that he was also very spiritual. He would listen to spiritual videos, music, and so on. So he was someone whom we all admire because he lived life to the fullest. I know it will be a great loss, especially for Anthony's father, who really built a strong bond with him. You would bring him from Kalyan and take him back. There was a strong bonding with him, and one of the persons who will really feel the vacuum and the loss is Anthony, his father, and his brother Alistair, and their extended family. They will all feel this loss because he was someone very unique, didn't trouble anybody, but lived life to the fullest. I want to end on a happy Christian note because as the gospel says, our life has no meaning unless we live for others. Unless a grain of wheat falls and dies, it has no value. And Austin's death is a Christian hope for us because just like he believed in Jesus, died and rose, one day we will all rise to newness of life. There was this priest in America, he worked in that parish for 5 years and then he left. The new parish priest came, and when he was checking the register, he looked at the baptism register, was going through it, and he saw that with every person who was baptized in his parish, he wrote born in Christ. Then he opened the burial register to find out what did he write for people who died in the parish. And the new parish priest smiled when he saw that with every person in his parish who died, he wrote next to the person's name, change of residence. Because that parish priest believed that a Christian never dies. He or she merely changes the address. Austin has moved from this address here in Kalyan to his new address, homeland. He continues to live with God. He continues to live with Jesus, continues to live with the Holy Spirit. And I can assure Anthony's father and Alistair and the extended family and all of us gathered here that he will pray for us. He will intercede for us. He actually lived a good, holy life. He will pray for us and intercede for each one of us, especially the family member, and I want to mention especially his father, Austin, who will really feel the loss physically, but I can assure that Austin is with God, praying for his father Anthony and for the extended family and for all of us. Before I say bye to Austin, I want to say, Austin, we thank you for the gift of your life to each one of us. And in a little way, you have touched everybody's life. Therefore, a large number of people have come here because you lived an extraordinary life. Short life, but good life. All I can say is bye, Austin. But I want you to teach us how to live for others. Teach us how to be at the service of others. Teach us how to die empty. God bless all of you.
And that was that eulogy from the priest from Austin's Parish in Mumbai, India. Karen, you came across something from our friends at the NVDA blog that they also mentioned something about Austin, didn't they?
Yeah, the organization and the access, which is behind this MVDA screen reader, dedicated a section of their in process blog post about or dedicated it to Austin. They talked about his contributions and they offered their condolences. They mentioned his great efforts, his accomplishments in helping blind people, and his contributions also in the Windows group, the mailing list, the Windows mailing list. I think he was an admin there before his death. I think he was the admin maybe a few months before his death. He was an admin or moderator there. So they mentioned that, and we will be leaving the link of the in process blog post for everyone who wants to take a look.
Thank you so much, Karen. And indeed, it will be in the show notes if you want to read up on that as to what the NVDA blog had to say. So thanks so much for that one. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. Let's now move on to our Android Basics segment. And today we're concluding a session that we started maybe a little over a month ago. And I'm talking about the general management in the One UI. John will now bring us that preamble of this part 3, which we conclude the One UI settings for the general management. John?
Hi, and welcome back to our series on Samsung's One UI. We are still working our way through the settings, and today we are going to finish up the general management area of Samsung settings. In the last installment, we finished up with the mouse settings. And moving on, next we have
spelling correction. Gboard spell checker.
This is where you choose your default spell checker.
Spelling correction. Navigate up. Button.
At the top, we have the switch to turn it on and off.
On. Spelling correction. Switch.
And then we have
Language. Use system languages.
you choose the language.
Default spell checker. Gboard spell checker.
And you can choose which spell checker to use.
Spell checker. Samsung keyboard. Checked. Gboard spell checker. Cancel. Button.
So my two options I have are Samsung and Google. So I have Google selected so that the TalkBack Braille keyboard and just the TalkBack spell check in general will work. If you have Samsung's selected, I don't think these will work. Backing out.
Spelling correction. Default spell checker. General management. Spelling correction. Gboard spell checker.
Next we have
Passwords, passkeys, and autofill.
going in here.
Passwords, passkeys, and autofill. Navigate up. Button. Choose your preferred service and manage all services for passwords, passkeys, and autofill. Passkeys are encrypted digital keys that let you sign into apps and websites using biometrics or your screen lock. Autofill adds info like addresses, passwords, and credit card numbers into form fields automatically. Preferred service. Google.
Here's where you choose your service.
All services. Heading.
And below this is a list of all the services you have available to you, depending on what apps you have installed and whether or not you want to turn them on or off. So for example,
Google.
if I were to go to Google, it would take me to a page where I could manage my passwords. Backing out.
General management. Passwords, passkeys, and autofill.
Next we have,
Personal dictionary.
I'll go in here,
Personal dictionary. Navigate up. Button.
but I do not have any.
No words in your dictionary. Add a word by tapping the Add Plus button.
So as you heard, if you tap the Add button, you can add words to your dictionary. And what this will do is, if you have autocorrect enabled, it will stop correcting words that you add to your dictionary. And you can also set up shortcuts, meaning if you type a certain word, you want it to display a different word. So, for example, your email address. If you just want your email address to appear when you typed EML, for example, you would add the email address to your dictionary, and then you would make the shortcut EML. And as soon as you put a space after EML, it would autocorrect it to your full email address. Backing out of here.
General Management. Personal Dictionary.
Next we have
Reset.
And this is what it sounds like.
Reset. Navigate up button. Before resetting your phone, back up your data to Samsung Cloud or an external storage device. You can restore your data after resetting.
And then it gives us some backup options.
Back up your data. Heading. Temporary cloud backup. Back up unlimited data to Samsung Cloud for up to 30 days or restore data you've backed up. External storage backup. Backup data to a USB storage device or SD card. Restore later on this device or another device using Smart Switch. Reset. Heading.
And then we have all of our reset options, because there's more than just a full factory reset. Here are the options.
Reset all settings. Reset mobile network settings. Reset Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings. Reset accessibility settings. Factory data reset. Reset your phone to its factory default settings. This will erase all data, including files and downloaded apps.
So as you can see, you have different options. So if you, for example, are having issues with Bluetooth, you should definitely just try resetting the network and Bluetooth settings first before you try resetting your whole phone. Backing out of here.
General Management. Reset. Customization service.
So we've mentioned customization service in the past. This is basically if you want certain apps to recommend things to you based on how you use them, location history, search history, and so on. So here's where you would go to enable or disable this and choose which apps have access to this type of information. Next,
Contact us.
going here, we'll just open the Samsung Members app where you can report bugs and that type of thing. And then the last thing we have in this section is under this heading.
Work profile keyboards and tools. Heading.
And it is
Virtual keyboard for work.
all this is exactly the same as the virtual keyboard section I showed you earlier, where you can set the default keyboard. But this is the one that applies when you are using your work profile, if you have that enabled. And that is everything we have in the general management portion of Samsung's One UI settings. I will now send it back to the crew to discuss these last few settings in this area.
Thanks so much, John. That's the last installment for the general management, and that's the last part. That's part 3. There are some things here that I really like, and I think for me, John, Karen, and Sally, you guys use the Samsung phones all the time, and it's something that it's not only for Samsung, but I think also for Pixel as well. That dictionary management, it's a great tool. I know a lot of the time people don't know about that, but I think it's a gem there. That's a hidden gem that most oftentimes we're not aware of. And it just kind of reiterates for me the need that I need to use this more often than what I do, because sometimes I'm trying to send an email to myself, and I'm typing out the email address and all of that, and then of course I'm trying to see if it make any suggestions, so I could just tap on it. But John, as you said, for example, I could just put in like maybe EML, then fill in my email address, and next time I want to send an email to myself, I'll just use that abbreviation and it just completes it for me. It's a great tool, and maybe Sally could be using it for yours faithfully, the handsome guy, and just put in a little abbreviation or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you see, it's a great tool that is kind of underused. I don't know. You guys use it. I
I'm
haven't.
glad you brought it up, Warren, because I wanted to ask. Because after recording this demo, I tried it and it did not work for me. I know it has worked in the past, but I could not get it to work. So I'm wondering if any of you have used it recently and if it still works for you.
Well, not recently, but it was working for me. Interesting enough. I didn't try it recently.
Yeah, I would have wondered as to what would have caused it to not work, though. But when new updates come up and things like that, sometimes some things get changed and a lot of things get broken. And this may be one of those things that got broken along the way.
Yeah, hopefully it starts working again. I mean, I'll admit we've been behind. We've recorded a lot of this stuff ahead of time, so I haven't tried it within the past month probably, but as of a month ago, it was not working for me, but I hope it starts working again. Even though I obviously wasn't using it because I didn't I didn't even realize that it stopped working, but it is a good feature to have, and I would now that I've reminded myself about it, I would like to start using it again.
Yeah. Karen, have you ever used this feature, this dictionary entry?
No, I know about it, and I just watched the demo that you did on BAU maybe 2 years or maybe more than that. But I have never used it. But it's a good addition, unless it will still not work. I mean, we should just try it and see, because if it's not working, then it's another issue in the issues that are coming in those days, like the Google messages and other stuff. So I think we are just being used to things that are like not working those days.
It's interesting you mentioned Google messages, because it's something the update has messed up. And I'm kind of wondering, if this is just something happening with the 6.x, or if it's also happening for those that have One UI 5.x. It will be interesting to know. I know all of us that use the One UI, all of us is 6.x, right? Sally, that's what you have. Oh, yeah, definitely all of us have
Yeah,
6.x.
6.1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it would have behaved any differently if someone were using 5.x. It's just, you never can tell. Updates are great, and sometimes, yet in the same breath, they break up something that was working perfectly before. Like you mentioned, Karine, Android messages, Google messages, it's just totally messed up. I don't know. It's most especially if you're doing voice dictation. For me, when I go into a message thread, for example, it will start to read like the last few messages, or if it doesn't, as sure as the sun comes up in the morning, if I tap the edit field and it becomes active, then it starts reading like maybe the last 5 or so messages, and it'll just keep looping through them unless I say quit doing that. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a very annoying bug. Luckily, I think it's only in the beta, so the messages beta app, so hopefully they get it ironed out before they release it to everyone.
Yeah, so that's part of being, a beta user. Now and then you find nasty bugs that just drives you up the Kilimanjaro. And
Yeah, and this is one of those that's like, they need to fix this. If they release it like this, it is going to be a mess, and a lot of people are going to be upset.
Yeah, and so if you're, a screen reader user, I don't know if it does that with the confused screen reader. I'm talking about a commentary. Maybe Karen will cut off my head. Does it behave like that too when you're using CSR? Does anyone know, Sally?
Well, we have our own problems with Yeshua regarding messages, and though the main problem is not new. Actually, it is that the focus is messed up completely. So if you just swipe between messages, they will be in reverse order. This is the first problem. The second problem is when you are on the edit box and you try to swipe to read the last message, you will be thrown on a message, a random message. Nobody knows which message will be.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it happens. when you're in a busy chat, it happens like I'm seeing that message and telling someone, did you really say that right now? And what's to do with it right now? Then they say, no, it was days ago. Come on.
Yeah, indeed. And to be fair, the guy tried to fix that, but he wasn't able to, and he just released a version. It was more messed up than how it was, so he returned everything to how it was before.
So I'm kind of wondering, though, could it be maybe something that Google messed up?
Yeah, I think so.
It is. It's the messages
No,
interface.
yeah, the
Ever since they
messages is
added
so
this
messed up.
like smart compose and other like AI
Yeah.
stuff to it and like redesigned the UI, it's had all kinds of issues. Like
Yeah,
remember
what
the
it-
edit box for a long time wasn't even an edit box, it was just a button. And then it
Yeah.
would open an edit box and then it would be an unlabeled button there. It's like it's been through a lot recently.
Well, since it's an app to send message like an SMS, that should be as simple as possible. But what Google is trying to do
No.
here?
Yeah, well, I think the whole idea is trying to simplify our lives and make things easier for us. I mean, that's the whole.
Yeah,
That's the whole point
Simpler
here.
for us or simpler for people who don't use the screen reader?
exactly.
Yeah, well, but no one goes to bed thinking of us. Now I'm talking about
Yeah.
those of us who are blind.
Think
Never
about
forget
your,
that.
like talk about yourself. Maybe somebody's thinking about me, huh?
Of course, there are always some nice people that think about us. You know, those crazies always think about us. So
Yeah.
it happens. Yeah, but seriously, this is such a mess. And so for me, the workaround is always to try to mute my screen reader, or instead, I just reply from the notification area, and that doesn't affect it.
Like looking at the bigger picture, I'm sometimes getting worried. You know, we cannot use messages. We cannot use WhatsApp at all. I mean, what's going on here?
No,
Yeah.
what's the problem with WhatsApp? I mean, WhatsApp is just much better than what Google is doing with its apps. I mean,
Well-
the issues that we are facing with Google apps are different than anything else.
Yeah. Just totally like looking at the picture here.
Yeah, WhatsApp's been kind of a little bit. I mean, I've been using WhatsApp a little bit now with a virtual WhatsApp number, and there are things I don't like about it. It's not like
Yeah.
what it used to be earlier on when I was on there before I quit.
Yeah, it always gives me headache when I'm using it, and I have no other choice.
Yeah, if you are using groups, yeah, it is. But if you're using personal chats, which is usually, well, for me, it's the norm to use WhatsApp for
Maybe-
private chats, not for
Well,
groups.
maybe you don't private chat at all, right? So
What? Maybe you what?
Maybe you're not chatting a lot. That's what
No,
you're saying.
I don't. What's the problem? Well, tell me what's the problem.
I'm always on a group chats, and I'm seeing the issues that also you say you don't face it, and you're only using the private chat. I say you don't private chat at all.
My
Yeah.
God.
Well,
you are confused.
Hang
Because-
on, Karen.
Yeah.
Have you ever sent a private message to Sally?
Yeah, I think.
Well, then if you haven't, then you're not. You can't
No,
tell us
you
what he's
you
saying.
didn't send me anything on WhatsApp.
Oh my God.
That's the crux of the matter. You haven't private messaged him, so you can't tell as to what's going on. That's what Sally is trying to let you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, indeed.
when we're done, you can try and you will see what he means. It's not working.
Already sent.
Okay.
A beautiful picture. Yeah, but so I just hope we get these things fixed, and then that Samsung dictionary, for some reason, if it's not working, I'm not surprised. So many things are not working these days.
Yeah.
So there's another one that John mentioned, and of course, we've mentioned this elsewhere, and it has to do with passwords management and passkeys. These things are very important. If you haven't set up yours, it's nice to do that. I find it simplifying my workflow, most especially after I do a reset and I'm trying to go back into, an app that I've used before, and of course, it just autofills for me what I have. And I tell you, I can't tell you how excited or how happy I am with autofill and all of that. So if you haven't been using it, try to use it, and maybe it will simplify things for you, make things easier than trying to type things out. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. Let's now move on to our next segment, and we're talking about the Spotlight segment, and we're talking about the recent update to Android 15 Beta 3.1. Google, instead of pushing Beta 4, which would be the last beta for Android 15, instead we got Beta 3.1. Now, essentially, all that this does is that it addresses three areas, and we'll be putting that in our show notes. That's all that the 3.1 has to fix. And I'm kind of like, well, why not just wait to drop this with Beta 4? John, what are your thoughts about maybe it was just too critical? We need to get it out there before we bring forth Beta 4.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted to get it out because they're probably Beta 4 won't be here for a couple more weeks at least.
I'm kind of thinking maybe Beta 4 may be coming out next week. I mean, the week of the Monday the 8th, that week. Because, well, if we're going to be having the full version in August when Pixel 9 comes out, then they're better off, putting it out early so that if there's any problems like this one that they had to fix with Beta 3.1, then they could fix it before the final release. But I don't know. It's Google. I'm surprised though that they kind of moving
I
this
dare
way.
you not to do like a prediction because you really last year.
Speaking of predictions, I do have a question. Because Google has, so you just mentioned it, the Pixel coming out in August, right? But Google hasn't technically said anything is coming out in August. They said they're going to have their Made by Google event in August. So they're going to show us all their new phones, and they're going to show us the new watches. And I think there's even some new Pixel Buds rumored. So they're going to show us all these devices. But do you think they're going to release them all then and there? Or do you think they're going to let them trickle out over the fall?
That's going to happen in August is spoiled by Google, I guess.
I think they're just trying to get their stuff out before Apple's event in
Made by Google,
September.
not made by messed by Google, I guess, right?
Messed by Google.
Yeah, you can say that again, but yeah, it's very interesting because this is very, you're jumping.
Yeah, because they normally
back.
do this event in October, and now it's in August. So I hope all the devices are coming out 2 months earlier, but I guess that remains to be seen.
And I think I kind of prefer this method instead of the October launch, if you ask me, because if you have it in August, for example, it will give other manufacturers time to maybe we'll start seeing, the new version of the OS coming out on other, manufacturers by the year's end and all of that. So I think that's a good thing. So it will make them work harder, get things out. I don't like this October thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
The sooner
And
the better.
yes, that will be a little easier for the manufacturers to work on it, as you said, and maybe more handsets is coming out before the year comes to an end.
Yeah, and
Working in Android 15.
I'll be upset if they show us all the devices and then they're like coming in September, the Pixel Buds, coming in October, the Pixel 9, coming in November, the
Oh,
Pixel
no.
Fold 2. Like,
that would be awful. That would not
Yeah.
even Apple does that. Right?
Well, Google is
Yeah, but I
crazy,
wouldn't
but
put it
not to
past
this
Google.
extent, I think.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that would be out of, whatever would be like, hey, here's the devices, but the OS Android 15 will be rolling out next month. That would be crazy. That will not be right.
Exciting times ahead.
Indeed. Yeah, so that's what we're looking forward to. But for now, we got that 3.1, beta 3.1. That is Android 15, beta 3.1. So if you get yours, you can update it. And also, I want to mention here alongside, though, with the Pixel 6 series, some people have been having some breaking problems, for example. And Google has acknowledged that there's something odd going on. If you get an update, for example, and if you do a reset, it will mess you up to where the phone will say, some components are not found or something to that effect. So Google has a little workaround for that. If you want to update, then just let it run for like 15 minutes or more before you do the reset and all of that, or reset the device before you do the update, and then you'll be fine. So I just tried it to see if mine would be bricked, but like I said, it's just some devices. Mine didn't break. I updated mine to 3.1, beta 15 3.1, and immediately reset it. There was no problem. That's on my Pixel 6 Pro.
Yeah, but there were reports that in the update itself, the July OTA update, there was a warning to people not to factory reset their devices. So it's something that is so serious for it to be mentioned when people are updating their devices. So it's something that was so serious, and it is indeed serious.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But it's not every device. For example, look at mine didn't happen, but like Google said, hey, if you're going to do it, then after the update, don't reset. At least let it run for 15 or so minutes before you do the reset. That's the workaround. So it seems like if you reset it, or if you update and you reset immediately, something happens to where it's not finding some of the components. And I hope they fix it. But if you've done it and it's bricked your device, we'll just have to wait to see what fix they have for you to recover that device.
I would say just don't factory reset your Pixel 6.
Exactly.
Wait till you get, because that's getting Android 15, right?
Yeah. Of
so
course,
just wait till you get Android 15. Don't factory reset before then.
Because you never know.
Especially if it's your only device.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
and you never
don't
know.
want to be out a phone.
And you can tell if yours is one of those devices that is affected. I was able to do that because I didn't care. I don't use it as my regular device. And so even if it had bricked, it wouldn't have affected me. But I just tested it. Me. I wanted to see what will happen. It didn't happen.
Let's be humorous and say, if you're having a bad day, don't ever do that, because it will go even worse.
There you go.
Yeah, and the best advice is not to reset your device after updating. So it's always the best advice. Why do you reset your phones after updating? I'm not getting this at all. I have never did that. I have never done that, and I will not do it.
Is it maybe you're lazy?
No,
I
because
think so too, Sally.
because it's not something that I need to do actually. But you are
Karen, girl,
What?
so
maybe
much.
you're lazy. I mean, let's
Yeah.
let's
I,
just
I'm with
just
Kareem. I do
just
not
admit
factory
it.
reset
Just
my phone.
admit it, guys. Admit it.
No, you're just obsessed with factory resetting. I don't know why.
No.
You should
You
see
know,
an
I
actor, I think.
told you you're lazy, but I don't also factory reset. But they say, you know, if you're upgrading to a major version, you need to factory reset your phone so you can get the best out of it.
Why?
Because this is
Because
recommended.
there's some things don't work right, and
Yeah.
it's true.
Well, I have never faced any issue, to be honest.
Here's
Well,
the thing.
you
The
just
rare,
happen to be lucky.
You
the
know,
rare situations where I feel like I might be
Yeah.
having issues that would be solved by a factory reset, I end up factory resetting my phone for nothing. Then I have the same issue come back up.
that's how they say.
Plus 100.
I blame it on the sun for feeling so lazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, for me, to be honest, I reset my device every time I have any OS update,
You do
and
it.
it's
It's just
always
part of your
been
routine.
that way. Yeah, exactly,
Your
John.
tea is brewing.
Thank you very much.
You're
And yeah,
reading your Bible, and your phone is factory resetting at the
hallelujah.
same
Yeah.
time. Like
There
it's
comes
daily
there
routine.
comes the question then. If you're like, how long does it take you to completely factory reset your phone and get back ready and working?
So for me, you know, it just takes reset takes what, maybe like less than a minute, you
No, I
know, and
mean
it's
like
rebooting.
all the process.
All the process. So I would say maybe like an hour,
Wow.
because
Yeah,
it
can
depends.
after the hour ends, he will.
It also
Like
depends.
after
It
the hour
depends
ends,
if
he
you
will
have
say
a
that.
million apps. You know, I have
Warren,
so many apps on mine. Yeah.
When after the hour ends, he will say that it's time for another factory reset because already a lot of time had passed. So I should redo it. And I think that you spend factory resetting your device more than you spend using your device.
No.
I wish
You
had a
even do this
reset
during
counter.
updates, for example. If you're doing an update, even security updates, you know, sometimes takes a while. And so lately, when Google has fixed it, so to me, it really doesn't make any difference for me. But it's just a habit that, you know, one has cultivated in the past. And it's kind of like it's hard to break that. And I will not, trade it for the world to not reset my device after a major update.
The golden advice: see a doctor.
Well, I will do that if you start writing private messages to Sally on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
If not, then forget it.
Let's see then.
Sally, keep me abreast of it, you know. I just want to know.
Yeah.
I want to make
You're
sure.
on track.
Yeah, you know, if she's not, then she better not be talking to me about resetting my device.
All right.
Karen, what do you have to say? I got you on that one, didn't I?
Okay, no problem. But you were just trying to defend yourself, nothing else. So I'm still having the upper hand here.
Oh boy. Well, good. Yeah, but seriously, if you have just one device, don't. And there's no need, like John says, if the full version is coming up, you know, next month or whatever, I'll just wait and get the full public release of Android 15. If you've waited this long, what's the point, right? Up next is the tip of the week. This is when we show you a trick or two on how to use a certain feature on your phone or within a given app. And now for this week's episode, here's your tip of the week. Well, how about we close today's episode with that tip of the week, and we're talking about how to go about scheduling your messages in Telegram. And I hope that when you're doing a voice dictation, that Telegram is not going to be giving you trouble. Arian brings us that scheduling messages in Telegram.
Hi. Telegram has many useful features. One of them is the ability to schedule a message so it is sent later. Let's see how this works. I'll open Telegram.
Telegram. Podcast crew.
I'm in the podcast crew group. You can schedule messages in private chats, groups, and in channels. I will type hi as a message.
Capital space. Capital H. I. India. I.
And instead of double tapping the send button to send it now, I will double tap and hold the send button.
Send. Schedule message.
And I will select the option
Schedule message.
schedule message. I can now set the date and time of the message.
Schedule message. Today slider.
It is set on today.
9 hours slider.
This is the hours
56 minutes slider.
and the minutes. In order to change the value, if I'm using TalkBack, I can just use the swiping up and down, which is the method used in TalkBack to deal with sliders. If I'm using Gshow, I have more methods. I can use the shortcut gestures. I can use the increase and decrease sliders value functions, and also I can use the volume keys if I enabled the option to use volume keys to change sliders. So it's based on the method that your screen reader uses to deal with sliders. Let's see today.
Today slider.
I'll increase. I'm using now the volume key.
Friday,
up.
the 21st of June slider.
So it showed me that it is now on Friday.
Sat, the 22nd of June slider.
So it's accessible, telling you the date when you just do the increase. I'll decrease.
Friday, the 21st of June slider.
Now with the hours,
9 hours slider. 10 hours slider. 11 hours slider. 56 minutes slide. Send on the 21st of June at 11:56 button.
when I double tap on this, it will schedule the message. And it is already telling me when the message will be sent. Let's double tap.
Scheduled messages. Scheduled for the 21st of June. Hi, scheduled for 11:56 has 5,963 replies.
Forget about this replies thing.
Scheduled messages. Go back button.
So it is the scheduled messages list. I now use the back gesture, and I'm now in
Warren so for this share button.
the chat. So if I want to make changes on the scheduled messages, I can find them.
Message text box. Attach media. Scheduled messages button.
Near the bottom of the screen, after the edit box, where I can type a message, I have the scheduled messages. I'll double tap.
Hi, scheduled for 11:56 has 5,963 replies.
If I double tap on this,
Send now.
I can send it now and cancel the scheduling.
Copy.
Copy.
Edit.
Edit the message itself.
Reschedule.
And reschedule.
Delete. Send now.
And delete. I should note before I end this quick demo that it is not possible, at least during my testing, to schedule voice messages. So it works only with text messages. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. I know I haven't tried it, but I'm going to try it when we're done to see how that works. I'll send someone a message and tell it to go out on Monday. And then I'll
Well-
tell him, Hey, I just wrote this message to you on XYZ. I'm just
That
kidding.
would be super handy to surprise your squeeze if you want to send them a birthday message right in the right time, like in exactly when the time comes, in hour, minute, and seconds. Exactly.
And that would be good for someone like me. You know why? Because I am terrible when it comes to anniversaries. I don't remember birthdays. I don't even remember my birthday, to be honest. And so when it comes to anniversaries, I have to put things on the calendar or else forget it. I mean, I'm just that horrible.
No, I'm worst.
I've used
I'm the worst person, I think, in that. I don't
Yeah.
remember anyone's birthday.
You know, I used to be super like good at that, but lately I'm getting like, oh my god, what was the today yesterday?
I'm good
Yeah.
at forgetting things that just pop up in my head. Like I know I've used this feature in Google Messages where I've thought of something I wanted to tell somebody and it's like really late and I'm like, I probably shouldn't text them right now, but I know I'll forget it by tomorrow, so I just like schedule a text message to be sent to them in the morning. And then a lot of times like I'll forget I even did it, and then I'll get a message back from them the next day and I'm like, oh yeah, I did say that to them. So it does come in handy.
Yeah.
This means that you should use the reminder feature in Telegram itself, which is something that I forgot to mention. Well, if you are using saved messages, you can just press the message that you are, or the send button, like you do with scheduling messages, and you set a reminder instead of scheduling. So it will remind you when the time is there. So in this case, you will schedule the message and then you will set a reminder in saved messages. It will remind you that you have scheduled a message. So that will solve your problem.
So in other words, what you are saying, Karine, you could still compose your message, but instead of hitting the send, you turn it into a reminder. So it will now remind you, all right, boy, it's now time to send that message that you wanted to send, which you have already composed. Just go ahead and hit that send. Am I getting that right?
No, he was saying that he just forgets that he scheduled the message and sent it. So in this case, he will use the reminder feature, which is also in Telegram. That will remind him that he scheduled the message and that he sent the message actually. So indeed, what's the thing is that Telegram has something called reminder, which is in saved messages. It allows you to just have a reminder, any reminder that you want, and it will just be like a sent message to the saved messages. You receive a notification when the time is up.
Okay,
so basically,
I got it.
What you would do is you'd schedule a message to somebody else, and then you'd also schedule a message to yourself at that same time, saying your message was just sent. Basically.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes,
So
you are the only person that you do it because you are the most forgetful person, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, so I got it. So if
I've even
I
been like,
schedule a
why is
message-
this person texting me? And like, oh yeah, they're just responding to what I scheduled.
Yeah, it's a neat feature. I didn't know that existed, so it's nice to have that feature in there, that little reminder. Okay, it says, your message just got sent to so and so. So it reminds me, oh yeah, I've scheduled a message and it just went out. And so that's really good. I like that.
Yeah, but to clarify for people, we are saying about something that is not a reminder about the scheduled message. I was just talking about John's case, but indeed what I'm talking about is the reminder itself, which is any message that you want. You just can say hi to yourself and just use the reminder thing, and it will be there when the time is, like when the time that you scheduled is there. Get it? Did you get it now?
Oh yeah, no, I totally got it. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. And with that, we are being reminded it's time to close this week's episode. And thanks, Karine. And We look forward to seeing you guys next week. However, we have information reminding you on how to get hold of us. John will tell us how to get hold of us if you need to get hold of us.
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers plus subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much, John. And with that, we come to this week's end of the episode. And from me, I want to say goodbye. Thank you so much, guys, for being there with us and hanging in there. See you next week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.